Got a Laughing Monkey Music Show. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm so excited to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing a few minutes with me, man. I'm excited.
What?
This has been a really crazy, crazy year, and I just appreciate you giving me a platform to reach out to everybody and speak to them and encourage them. Let them know, man. Music is going to get us through this thing, man. We gotta figure out a way to navigate this thing safely and get everybody back together. We're super pumped to see everybody, but we want to be safe. And I know I have tons of friends that are musicians that are touring all the time. I know they're missing everybody, but it's going to come back. I saw a little blurb the other night of a guy accepting an award on country music, and he said, "Man, I really think music is what's going to save us through all this stuff," and I totally agree with that. He
Yeah.
said it felt like politics and stuff had really divided the country, but he said, "Man, I feel like music is going to save us," and I follow that sentiment. It's a super, super powerful force, man. It brings people together, it transcends culture,
I
and
agree, and that puts in a weird thing. Like I think musicians, some don't want to do politics, and some do. It's very divisive, right? And I
yeah,
support. I mean, you're a musician, so you express yourself. So to not do it, it's not being who you are. But then
yeah,
if you don't want to share it, that's also being who you are. It's you know what I mean. So there's
yeah.
both sides of it. But the only danger is if you don't share it, are you selling yourself short? I'm frozen here.
Yeah.
What
I
happened
just
here?
think it's just there's nothing like music in the world, man. It's been a part of my life since I
Yep.
grew up. Our family was musical. We're all from down in the Delta in Mississippi, and I guess we were what people would call porch pickers. My family never really did anything professionally. My uncles and aunts, they all sang and played. As far back as I can remember, there was music in the house. My grandparents were dancing around. We were listening to albums. They weren't necessarily musically inclined, my grandparents, but my mom and her sisters and brothers, they all played, man. And it was so weird because I thought everybody's family did that growing up. And I didn't realize it until I got older. I would invite some of my friends over or whatever, and they were like, "Oh my God, your family's amazing." And I'm like, "Man, they do that all the time. Let's sneak out and go, drive the car and go do something and get out of here." And
That's pretty awesome.
got older, I started realizing that, hey, man, this is like something kind of really special and unique with our family. And so, and honestly, man, I never sang or played around my family until I was already up kind of playing in a band. I was always really embarrassed around them. They were just super naturally gifted, man. And when finally told them that I was kind of singing with the band or something, they got really tickled and excited. My uncle and aunts were, um, my aunt particularly, she's about 10 years older than me. She was the first person that was kind of showing me guitar chords and stuff. And so they turned me on. She was kind of into, the classic rock stuff. Like, um, I think the biggest influence probably she gave me was Kiss. Like she got Destroyer when I was about 6 years old. And I remember going in her room. She had the poster on the wall, the 1976 poster. And she had Destroyer, and I went in to listen to it. I remember God of Thunder came on, and it scared me. Like I ran out of the room, and then I was like, "What in the world is that? I got to go back in there." And so I went back in, and from then on, I was like a Kiss fanatic, man. For the next uh, extended portion of my life, we listened to all their records. My cousins and I all grew up listening to that. But she turned me on to other stuff like Boston and Foreigner. She was listening to Southern rock stuff like Leonard Skinner and stuff. They all played. They were more kind of acoustic oriented, I think. My family, just around the house, they played gospel and R&B and rock. They were kind of well versed. They could do a lot of different things, but they kind of taught me at first acoustic stuff. They were listening to like Neil Young, James Taylor, and things like that. And then I kind of ran into Kiss listening through her records, and my cousins and I kind of got into that. And I think that's what kind of warped me. I grabbed my tennis racket and jumped on my bed. When Kiss Alive came out, I was in concert, man. I loved it. And
That's really cool.
it was so fun. We still laugh about it. We still, you know, when we all get together, we still listen to music, or a Kiss song will come on and we'll like all fall out laughing and just go, oh my God, we listened to this album so many times in a row in her bedroom. But I think they were my biggest influence, man. I didn't realize it. You know, for a long time, people asked me my biggest influences. And as I grew up, you know, I started finding other music and stuff and listening to like Led Zeppelin and, you know, all the classic stuff, Bad Company, Aerosmith, all that kind of stuff that we all grew up on.
I think vocally, Led Zeppelin is an easy thing with you to come up with comparison to your
Man,
voice.
he was one of my favorites, man. I loved him and Janis Joplin. And, you know, as I got older, I kind of had other influences growing up. Like my mom listened to a lot of Ray Charles. I love the soul stuff like Otis Redding and things like that. They were kind of, I guess, part of growing up, and I didn't realize they had influences on me, but I kind of started backtracking after I had some experience and started kind of thinking about all the things that we had listened to and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Robert Plant was still like, to me, I never had a chance to meet him or participate in any kind of function where he was part of it, but he was probably one of my biggest. I mean, I just identified, I guess, vocally where he was at. You know, when we first started, I met Keith and the guys. They had already kind of had a local band that they had put together that was called Lycanthrope, you know, after like the werewolf kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was kind of a 2-guitar thing, and it was kind of, you know, like a Judas Priest or an Iron Maiden kind of heavier vibe. And Patrick Francis, the bass player, and I went to high school together. And he and the guitar player, Keith Douglas, were really good friends. They grew up together, and they've known each other actually since they were probably 8 years old. So those two guys, the original members of the band, have been friends since they were children. And Patrick and I were in high school together, and he kind of had approached me. I was knocking around in a little local, you know, neighborhood band, and he told me that they were looking for a singer. And asked me if I wanted to come and try out, you know, and they invited me over to one of the rehearsal things. And I just remember being so nervous, man. I thought they were so much more advanced. They were a little bit older. I was still in high school. A couple of these guys were already out of high school, and they had some recording experience and stuff. So, and I remember going over there, and I was going to play like kind of the play up the acoustic thing. And I went over there. I brought my acoustic guitar and I sat down. I think I played like Desperado by the Eagles. I was playing it on the acoustic or something, and they said, man, that's cool, but man, you know any Aerosmith or some Rush or anything? And kind of put me on the spot. I said, you know, I think I could get through it, man, you know, if y'all show me. But I don't know, there was just something about when we bumped into each other, the four of us, and we played together, it just, the chemistry felt good. We all kind of clicked, you know, personality wise. We felt like we, you know, got along kind of immediately. And it was just like the craziest ride that's ever happened, man. I can't believe we're still friends. You know, those records and everything that came out was 30 years ago, man.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's been that long.
It's the same four guys. And we've had some crazy experiences together, man. We've been, you know, on the top of the mountain, you know, shouting how great it is. And then we've been kind of down through the dark valley, man, where things got kind of quiet and scary. And but through it all, we've always remained friends. We've always been like family, man. I have one sister, so those three guys are the closest thing to brothers, you know, that I would have. They're just amazing dudes. I can't say enough about them. And the fact that we were still friends, we never had any kind of really huge blowout where we were just kind of over everything or anything. We're like any other group of people that were close. You know, we had moments where we would get after each other pretty good. But we were lucky that our friendship always, you know, was first, and we were respectful of each other. And man, it's just been wild. When I get a chance to talk to people and like do this kind of thing through Zoom and stuff, and get to think about all the memories of that, it just puts a huge smile on my face, man. We had some of the most incredible opportunities and times that we shared together. I mean, it's just crazy, man. It's just unbelievable that we got to do something like that together. So,
well, the fact that you guys are actually part of so many other people's memories too is
yeah,
crazy.
man.
I know where I can tell you exactly when I heard Phantom Rider. Like, what point is, you know, you have probably a good 20, 30 songs in your life that are moments.
Yeah.
and that one of the songs. I mean,
Oh man. Well, that
so
means us, man. Uh, we could have never done it without people supporting us, and uh, we've always um, we've always just thought about how much we owe to our hometown for launching us, man. Those high schools, Keith and John, the guitar player and drummer, went to one high school, big high school in Memphis, and Patrick and I went to another one. And so when we kind of got together to do our first couple of gigs, we kind of immediately had a built-in following. Like all the people that we went to school with and everything would show up and they'd get up front, and they're the ones that started the little chant, Tora, 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 because we were wondering if that was even going to work. We had a friend, her name was Kelly Coffey, that had listed a name, a whole big list of names for the idea for the band name. And Tora Tora, of course, came off the Van Halen Women and Children First record. It was a little 30-second intro in there, and she had that down, and we were like, yeah, man, let's try that one. And we went to do this gig downtown in not Nashville, but downtown in Memphis. There was a place that we would go, and they had an open mic jam kind of thing for young underage bands and stuff. And we went and did it, and sure enough, man, people walked up front and started doing the chant. It was kind of like the toga chant out of Animal House. So we just said, man, that might really stick. It might work. And it was just amazing. They always supported us. Our hometown did that. And they would always show up and be kind of the loudest and the rowdiest. And, at times, sometimes, when you're at high school age and all that kind of stuff, everybody's kind of puffed up and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes the turf thing, they even didn't kind of get along, but they would show up just to come to the show, and then they'd kind of have their little falling out or whatever with each other. So it was funny when we look back on it. It was kind of like, being in a movie, man. We
didn't you like make your own scene though, musically though?
Yeah, I can't claim that the Tora guys did. There was a great scene in Memphis going on. We just happened to be there at the right time. There was a lot of activity with producers in town that were helping bands do do production deals and shopping them. They had there was a few members in the community that had kind of really rallied and got together these things like producer showcases, where it would last through a weekend and all the bars would showcase the local talent and stuff like that. Local radio was supporting local musicians doing local radio shows.
Yeah.
And so we were it was kind of a perfect storm. And there was a guy named Mike Glenn that was one of the club owners on Bill Street. He had a place that was about a 800 or 900 seat venue, an old theater that had been renovated. He came there, he was doing boxing, traveling around with a bunch of boxers, and he came in and started doing some boxing things in the old theater. And the guy that owned it said, hey, you're doing such a good job of bringing people in. Why don't you just stay here and manage the place? And he started letting in local bands and stuff. He would stack up 3 or 4 bands together and let underage kids. There wasn't really, at the time, there wasn't a place where if you were a high school age person, you couldn't really go out and see original music unless it was some kind of radio sponsored, jam or battle of bands or something like that. And so he kind of opened his doors and gave people places to come and play. And we owe a lot to him. We actually did a little hat tip to him in our latest video, the Son of a Prodigal Son, on the last Bachelor of the Bill record. He came to Bill Street. And we weren't in the Daisy, but we're right down the street. There's a place called W.C. Handy's Blues Hall. It's where we shot Walking Shoes, the very first video for Tora.
Okay, yep.
And we went back there and shot Prodigal Son, a Son of a Prodigal Son. And Mike showed up. He came in. He showed up. He was in like a suit, had his hair slicked back. I mean, he was really.
I'll
funny,
have to watch it. I'll have to watch it again. I've seen the video a few times.
When we first met him, he was kind of a character, man. He walked around. He had a kind of a wad of cash in one pocket and a pistol in his other pocket. It was kind of still. And we thought of him as a little more seasoned as the years went on. We talked to him after we really got to know him and stuff. He wasn't really that much older than all of us, but he had just had some more experience and stuff. It kind of had already kind of been out and a little more whirly than we were. And but he was there. I'll look and see. I know I grabbed some photos of it when we were shooting the video, so maybe I could forward you something like that so you could kind of see what he looks like.
That'd be cool.
He was just a great character. He was a great supporter of us. He gave us some great opportunities to open for other bands. And, you know, we got to the place where we could headline that venue and sell it out. And he would let us come in and do shows. You know, I think when I first went there, he was doing a local jam night. The local music store would provide a backline. The local radio station promoted this show. There was a DJ named Malcolm Riker who really supported us, helped us a lot. And he was there as a guest MC or whatever. And I think he could get up and do like three songs or 15 minutes, and then they'd pull the plug. And the great thing about being in Memphis was, and especially him having the radio station that he had, is it kind of broadcast over a bunch of states. So Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. He was hitting a big, you know, market. So we had bands that were showing up to play those Amro jam nights, man, that were from all over the place, man. It was some of the best musicians, you know, around the Mid-South area that were showing up. So we got to know them. We kind of groomed in that scene of kind of seeing what everybody was up to. And it was just a great time. We definitely, I think, Memphis kind of felt the LA strip effect in Memphis. Bill Street, definitely there was a surge, you know, a lot of activity of young bands and stuff that popped up that were all kind of doing original music at around that time that we were coming along. But it was good, healthy I mean, it was definitely competition, but we were kind of all rooting for each other. We knew if one band was kind of doing good, it would kind of raise everybody else up and get attention. And, you know, producers were looking around and trying to find people to work with. And it was just a lot of fun. I mean, we're still friends with a lot of those guys that we grew up with. It's funny, like our band, we're all still buddies, but John, our drummer, is playing in a band with a guy named Tim Dills. And we started out playing opening shows for Tim when we were little kids. Tim had a band called Dots back in the day. And I think they may have been our first paying gig. I think they paid us like $50 to open up for them. And we thought it was awesome. The cool. We were like, you know, we loved them. They were super talented dudes, and they were already kind of up and, you know, established and doing shows, traveling a little bit and stuff. And they were nice enough to let us do some shows with them. And then we continued our friendship since then. We've been really close to them for a long time. So, but yeah, John's got this thing now. If anybody's listening or watching or whatever, called Fever Tree. That's another original group that he kind of does on the side. And they're doing some really great music and stuff. So he's doing that kind of as well as the Tora stuff.
We can post that link too.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been this amazing journey. You know, we feel very fortunate that we got to do it. And so, you know, we were together for, I don't know, a couple of years, and then we were just lucky enough we had this opportunity to work. We had won some studio time from one of those competitions to go into a studio and record, and we started working on an EP. And we worked with this guy, Steve Howe, first. He had a place called Powerhouse. It was kind of a place at his home, and he kind of helped us get launched. And then eventually we ended up doing a production deal with Ardent Studios, and that's how we kind of really ended up getting the record deal and all that kind of stuff. We had like a little 5-song EP called Tarak Tarol that we put out when we were, you know, just starting out. Keith, our guitar player, was pretty business savvy. He went and called on all the local record stores and asked them if we could put our stuff in there on consignment, like by the register, and see if we could sell it. And man, we sold out all of our little cassettes, and there was like a little demand for it. We started getting airplay on the radio, and Art and the studios where we had been recording had asked us if we wanted to do a production deal. And so we did a deal with them, and they ended up shopping us to all the record labels. And that's how it happened. And that's how we just took off, man. That was kind of the beginning of the band, man.
So wow, that's really I'm speechless right now because how quickly that came together for you guys and how organic.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I kind of left out one little portion of the story, man. We had a place that we rehearsed. It was a warehouse, and it was like right in the center of town, right in the middle of Memphis. It's right next to our Coliseum. It was next door to a Coca-Cola factory. So our guitar player's father had rented this space, and he was storing some things in there. It was actually 55 gallon drums. They were empty, and he had them in there, and we asked if we could rehearse in there. And we ended up pushing all those drums to one end of the room. Both ends of the thing had a bay door on it, but we pushed all of them to one end and put plywood on it and built a stage. And so we actually kind of created our own little space for people to come and see live music. It was kind of underground kind of thing, I guess you'd call it nowadays. Kind of grassroots place. But
that's the scene I meant earlier when I said it. Yeah, I know you guys did something like that. That's the scene.
Yes, man.
I was referring to.
Crazy because we were kind of looking back on it in hindsight. We weren't thinking of it at the time, but it was kind of, we were kind of like little entrepreneurs, man. We had this, we had a place where it could fit, man, probably 400 people or something. I mean, it was big. We put a PA system in, we put a lighting truss thing in, we put these, we built our logo out of 2x4s and painted it and hung it in the ceiling, man, with like glitter all over it. If that thing would have fallen, it would have like killed somebody. I'm not kidding. I can't believe when I think back on it, I was like, man, it's a wonder it didn't take somebody out. But anyway, we kind of built it, and we would actually advertise it on the radio. We would say at the warehouse, come and see, the band. And that local DJ, Malcolm Riker, was one of the guys that was helping us. He had kind of taken a liking to us. He really helped break us in the regional kind of market because he put our song on and it got into the top 5 requested songs, and it was Phantom Rider. That was a song that kind of broke us out.
It really championed you.
It was on the EP. It was a different version than you hear on the Surprise Attack record. It actually has piano playing on it. The producer played the piano on it and all that stuff. So it was a little bit more organic sounding. It was much more produced on the Surprise Attack record. And, that was the song that all of our friends from high school and everybody loved that song. They were like, man, this is it, And, for those parties, man, Malcolm would advertise. He would plug it for us and say, go and see the band at the warehouse, or whatever. And our song would be playing on the radio. And what we did is we got a couple of local college football players from Ole Miss to work the door. So they were our security. We would collect money. We would give them all the beer they could drink for the night. And then we would just say, hey, man, if anybody gets rowdy, we want this to be a place where everybody can come and hang out. If anybody puffs up or they start a turf thing about whatever, 2 high schools being together, that used to happen, or 3 or 4 high schools at that point, we would just say, just take them out in the parking lot, let them, whatever goes on with it. We don't want anybody to get hurt, but just don't let them start anything in here while we're trying to have music and all that kind of stuff. And man, it worked out. People used to come, man, they'd bring coolers, lawn chairs. It was all underage kids. So they'd roll in, set up themselves in the building, and we'd do a show, And we didn't have them that often, so we made them it was always kind of an event. The very first one we did was a Halloween party, and everybody came dressed up. And I mean, it was just so cool, man. It was, people just went out in the nth degree and dressed up. And great memory, a lot of fun. And we had a lot of fun in that warehouse. We actually showcased for record labels in there. They came in, and we had the sound system. Well, there were some offices in the front, and it had a stairwell that went up, and you could oversee the whole warehouse. And so we built a little place for the A&R people to come and sit. We built a bar, like literally upstairs for them with the PA system. And so they came in early before anybody got there, and they just sat there and watched, and people would drug their coolers in, and they come in and bring their lawn chairs, and everybody was setting up, and then we would just jump on stage and do our thing. And the guy that signed us to A&M told us, he said, I knew I was going to sign y'all. He said, I flew into Memphis, and he said, when I got in my rent-a-car, I turned the radio on, and your song was playing on the radio, like when I got my rent-a-car. And he said, I just knew I was going to offer you guys a deal with the record label. And so, yeah, but he was there that night. You know, he came to some of those showcases, and he was one of the guys that just seemed the most genuine to us. We, after every party, because it was in a big warehouse space, there was a bunch of those bay doors there, and about 5 or 5:30 in the morning, trucks would start pulling in. So we would have to go out in the parking lot after every party and go clean up the pizza boxes and the beer cans and whatever people had done outside. We had to get it out of the way so the trucks could come in. And that guy from A&M Records actually stayed and rode around with us. We took one of those drums, 55-gallon drums, and put it in the back of a truck, and would just go around and clean everything up. And excuse me. And he stayed, and that really resonated with us. We said, you know, everybody else was really nice, but he seemed like the most genuine guy and hung out with us. So it was just really fun, man. It brings back a lot of memories, and we were really lucky that you know, we just never really took it for granted. We just said, hey man, this could end any second, so let's just go have a great time, do this thing together, you know, travel and take it all in, man. And that kind of has been our motto, man. That's just kind of how we went, and we all stayed friends. We've all kind of stepped away or stepped back at some point, and not from being creative, but just we got focused on our families. Like everybody had children and stuff, and we said, hey, we want to step back and make sure we don't miss something, and be around for our families and stuff. And just a few years back, around 2017 or something, the planets just lined up where we said, hey man, I really think we've always been talking about doing some new music and stuff, and that just was the perfect time to do it. Our bass player Patrick had kind of gone through a cancer scare, and he got a full clean bill of health. They found the aggressive cancer very early, and they got everything, and they said, man, as long as you continue to get your scans, you're clear and you're good to go, do whatever you want to. And we were just, of course, he had a second lease on life, a perspective of that, and just said, man, let's go jam. He said, let's get together and go do something. And we just, we felt the same way. We were so excited, you know, because we're all really close, still stay in touch. And so we went and played the Monsters of Rock cruise. We went and did that back in 2017. And then right after that, we were contacted by Frontiers Records about doing a project for them. So that's kind of what led us up to the Bastards of Bill project and getting to, you know, go in fresh and new and record new music. And it was just awesome, man. It was so cool. We were kind of, you know, nervous. We were wondering what it was going to sound like and what it would be like for all of us to just do something. We didn't want to go back and, like, you know, pull any old ideas or anything. We just said, hey, let's just walk into the room fresh, just like we used to a long time ago, and just come up with something brand new. And we were just so excited. As soon as they all started playing and everything, we were just like, man, this is it. This is Tora. It's us four just getting in here and hammering it out, man. We're going to do this thing. So, and so we owe them a lot of gratitude to giving us a platform to reach back out to the audience. We knew a lot of the bands on the Frontiers record label. I had heard about it for years through, we were really good friends with Jimmy Jameson from Survivor. He was from Memphis, and he had done some solo work with them a long time ago. So I knew the name of the company and everything. And then as we talked to him just about the process and the project and all that kind of stuff, they just felt like a really great fit, you know. So we were thrilled for that. And we did the recording back in 2018. The record came out in 2019. We played about, 20 something shows through 2019, and up until I think our last show was in February this year. And I've played 2 acoustic shows since then, but It's been very, very quiet on the home front uh, for the band, but we're all still writing and recording and working. And, we're still having fun together. I mean, we still just, we have a stack of ideas. We had studio time booked back in March and in May, but unfortunately we weren't able to get together to do the rehearsals and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of just put everything in hold. We're doing a lot of stuff through technology now. Affords us opportunities that we didn't have when we were little kids. So we've kind of been trading out all of our stuff through files and Dropbox and WeTransfer and all that kind of stuff. So excuse me, we're having fun that way. We're learning a lot. I've had to kind of acclimate ourselves to the situation that we're in right now, but we're still excited, man. I still love music, man. I'm actually my day gig is I'm a professor, man. I'm an entertainment business professor. So I teach kids about the music industry. After being with Tora and then being on the road and everything, I kind of came back and I actually went to work for the record labels for Sony and RCA and worked in music publishing. And I never thought I would be a teacher, man. I literally left high school to do the rock and roll life. But when I met my wife, I went back and got my bachelor's degree and my master's degree in the entertainment business. And I just had thought about the people that had helped me when I was growing up. The studio owner, John Fry, down in Memphis, that owned Ardent Studios. And my first manager, Richard Sanders, they were just incredible mentors. They watched out for me in the music industry. They taught me about the industry. And they also helped me after the Tora run was over. They helped me in other ways professionally that introduced me to relationships that helped me with all these other things I was doing out in the industry. So I just was thinking about it, and I just said, I want to be that guy for somebody else, man. If somebody's excited about the entertainment business, they want to know about it. I want to try to at least share one perspective with them. Not that I got the end all be all experience, but just to share it and encourage them. The music industry has afforded me so many crazy adventures, man, and introduced me into so many different crazy characters and stuff that if anybody wants to pursue it, I want to encourage them. I think they're at a really unique time in history with technology the way it is and the access that they have to the audience and to individuals. I mean, just being able to have the access that we do blows my mind nowadays. But I'm excited for them. I'm excited for the next generation of people, the musicians and the people that are going to go on and be like entertainment business professionals and stuff. So it's been wild, man. This has just been the craziest journey. And, I'm just can't believe that I get a chance to go do it still. I mean, I still love it that much. What I was going to tell you a second ago is I still remember sitting on the edge of my bed, strumming the chords to Phantom Rider, man. I still remember that opening chord, and there was a friend of mine, his name's Thomas Howard. He wrote the song with me. And he actually wrote a lot of songs on that first record. He lived down the street from me, and he used to walk his dog every night about 10 o'clock. And I had knocked the screen out of my window, and I would go out my window, after bedtime, I would go out and we'd sit and talk about music. He loved like Yes and Rush. He was into like the progressive people. He liked the Beatles, of course, some things that we would talk about. And I was always talking about Led Zeppelin and stuff. You were laughing about Robert Plant earlier. So we kind of headbutt, talking about progressive music and the blues and all that kind of stuff. But we became really good friends, and man, we're actually friends to this day. I just saw him at our last performance in Memphis, and we talk on the phone and see each other. And he wrote on Phantom Rider. He wrote on Being There, which was another kind of ballad song. He was just a really great lyricist. He was really good musically, but I remember talking to him, and he had just stacks of notebooks of lyrics and stuff that we would look at. So I did a lot of music and melody stuff, and he had lyrics. So we kind of combined with each other, and we wrote, man, there's no telling how many songs together. I mean, I couldn't count right now, but he had a big influence on our band. He was a big part of the success of it, because the Phantom Rider song really, I'm not kidding, it really kicked stuff off for us at home. So
That's really good. I mean, that you actually did a really good job answering everything. Unfortunately,
Oh,
can you hear me? Yeah, so
yeah.
I'll have to edit this part. I'll have to edit this part. So I don't know, my picture froze, but you're a professional, gone through a trooper here. But I can cut it out that part. So I actually have a couple other questions. Maybe you just want to go back into them to finish up, and then
Sure.
the last few I have, and then you can just kind of do your thing, which I appreciate. You're so good at it. Is your albums? Is some of the albums you had like on iTunes, like you know, to hear, and what albums you had, like I don't understand how they came out because after Wild America, I know that Revolution was supposed to come out, didn't, and then now on iTunes there's Bombs Away, and then there's Before and After, which almost sounds like it's like earlier, like rough cuts of stuff.
Yeah,
And
those.
Beale is awesome. I can tell you, man, that album, it literally feels like it picks up right after Wild America, like with no time
Oh,
in between.
thank you.
You know, I mean, your voices are strong, and the guitars, the riffs are just. I mean, honestly, it really is. Because I listened to them side by side. It was fantastic, and then, of course the acoustic thing is really nice too. Um,
Oh,
but it's crazy how strong it is.
oh, thanks, man. We were super nervous. We wanted to do a good job. We've had a lot of, you know, influence and inspiration, man. A lot of that album, honestly, we say this, and we really mean it, man. The audience helped us write that. That opening song, "The Sons of Zebedee," we were thinking about the warehouse, man. We were thinking about um, the community and culture of music, how it brings people together. Where you know, for that moment, we're just all together, man. It's not. You're not thinking about your health and your bills and all the things that are stressing you out. We're just in the moment together, and we really thought a lot about our experiences. Even the first little teaser song, "The Rose of Jericho," we were thinking about all these crazy cast of characters that we kind of. The original title of that song was going to be "Rock and Roll Ain't Dead Yet," and uh, we started just thinking about, started swapping all these stories and stuff. Keith and I, he had actually come up here to Nashville to do work on songwriting with me just at the house, and we were just telling stories and stuff, and that kind of kicked off the whole lyric process of the record. Was thinking about all that stuff, and we're just so appreciative, man, of their support, man, through all the years. And but yeah, the Bastards of Bill record, we worked with Jeff Powell. We recorded at Sam Phillips Studio in Memphis, and Jeff actually worked on Wild America. He was an assistant engineer, and he was young. He was like our age back then, a young up and coming engineer. So he was almost kind of like a member of our family. We've known him for 20 or 30 years, man. And he just told us, we talked to him about, we said, you know, I said, "Hey man, I'm not the like little 20-year-old, you know, screaming kid from 1989, man. I got some mileage on me." And he said, "Man, don't worry, you're in good hands." He goes, "Just come in and do what you do. We're going to make it sound awesome." And we actually went in and recorded a lot of that live. And that's why the record feels kind of raw the way it does. Is we were, you know, under time constraints and budget constraints of just being there. And budgeting, I mean literally like just me going back and forth from Nashville and and financially. And so we tried to get as many of those takes live, the bass drums and rhythm guitars, and then Keith and I kind of went in and touched up some stuff. So it was a fairly, quick process. Excuse me one second. Let me see here. Sorry about that.
No need to. I appreciate you talking. Take
But
a
yeah,
minute.
so that record was a lot of fun, and it felt really natural. And Jeff just made us feel so comfortable, and we didn't feel like it was any kind of weird process. We just kind of went in and had a lot of fun doing it. And but yeah, the record was so fun, the whole process. And you know, that was just the beginning. Now we've done those songs. We went out and promoted that record, and now we have, you know, new ideas and stuff and things that we're thinking about, and we can't wait to share. You know, it kind of, I don't think anybody in the band, any of our creative juices ever kind of turned off. Even if you tried to do that, I don't think you could do it as a creative person. It just would make you crazy, you know. Keith was always working on stuff, and I was always working on stuff, and But when you ask about the albums, yeah, a lot of those are kind of outtake demo things. We would write a lot of songs for those records. That the Surprise Attack record, we probably wrote 70 or 80 songs for that project. Wild America, we worked on that for 2 years while we were touring. So we had stacks and stacks and stacks of music and songs for those records. Revolution Day was another one that we had worked on for almost 2 years while we were traveling and supporting Wild America. And you know, it's challenging as a group, and with what was going on with music at the time. You know, there was kind of a shift from the 80s stuff into like the alternative music and all that kind of stuff. And we were trying to, you know, stay our course, man. We kind of, I think we did pretty well of always staying true to our sound and stuff. But you kind of, you wanted to do the things that made people, that captured them and got them interested in you in the first place. But also from a creative standpoint, we were saying we don't want to do, you know, play Walking Shoes 10 times in a row for the record. We want to, you know, we want to try some different things. And I think we started kind of branching out, man. You know, Wild America, we grew up a lot from touring so much. We became really a lot more confident in our abilities as just individual players, you know, doing 10 or 11 shows in a row at, you know, out on the road for 2 years straight, man, you get really tight. The band gets tight. You get more comfortable with your the ways to push yourself and the way to use your abilities and stuff. So we got more conscious about that. And I think you noticed it between the Surprise Attack and the Wild America that, I mean, I was still doing a lot of high notes, but I didn't do it every song. You know, I realized real quick after that first record, I was like, man, God, I got to sing this like every night. And after doing that night after night and doing promotional activities and interviews and stuff all day long, it's like, man, that starts wearing your instrument out. So I was a little more aware. I kind of started getting a little more selective with it. And also melody wise and all that, we were having a lot more, I think, just growth from showing the influences and stuff that we had from record to record. But a lot of those that you see that are on Spotify and iTunes are just outtake, you know, like little demo things that they wouldn't be anything that we had, wouldn't have been used for the masters or for the things that were coming out on A&M. I think on some of those, even you hear like a guitar dropout and one of the thing, and we did some like home demo recordings and things like that. So
Yeah, that was the before and rock one or something it's called. That's
yeah,
before and after. That one feels more demo-y. You can hear,
yeah,
the production level is just totally different.
yeah. And it was fun. I think some of those things we just wanted to share. We thought people that had kind of followed us would really get a kick out of hearing how the thing started out and then where it went, you know. So that was a lot of fun. And but yeah, there's a couple of things floating around that I gotta find. We use this this opportunity to kind of dig around and look, and there's some like songs and recordings that I still can't find, that I remember some titles and things that I talked to Keith and them about, that I was like, man, can anybody find a version of this? I wanted to hear this song. And it's really funny. You think we would have documented that stuff a lot better back then, but we were so caught up in the moment. I mean, I've got just stacks of CDs and cassettes and all kind of stuff upstairs, and, you know, tucked away, little ADATs and all kind of stuff of ideas and things. So eventually maybe some of those things will work their way out, you know.
That'd be fun.
But anyway, do you have any other things I could answer for you, or any other questions?
This is the last thing for a wrap up, and then what you're doing now. So talk about the acoustic thing you're doing. It sounds really cool. If you guys are going to do any streaming events or anything that's going on, and then like I said, at the end, I'll put all you guys underneath it, the YouTube page of all your links and stuff to kind of help push the merch and kind of, you know, that's kind of the goal. This is kind of help the music industry and kind of what little I can do. You know,
Yeah,
that's what I was told the game bar. It's like I think you know the YouTube show Produced Like a Pro, Warren Hewitt.
yeah,
He's one who got inspired. He's actually gonna be my first show. It's been hard locking it down, but he's actually said he's gonna do it. His studio assistant has already done one with me. I'm doing one with Venom, the other
great.
version of Venom.
Yeah,
which is heavier. I did one with Musical Youth, the singer.
good.
He's out touring. So I'm doing various types of music, but I want to bring awareness of all these different types of music and all these bands. And you guys, at least it's a lot of rock. I mean, I'm like probably close to the same age, same generation. I got a lot of
Yeah.
rock in me. So, you know.
Well, man, first of all, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes to talk to me. Anybody that's out watching or listening, you can go to toratoramusic.com. That's our website landing page where you can go. It's got access to all of our social media. You can find me at Anthony Quarter on Facebook, my artist page. I'm on there all the time. And I do live streams. I've been doing these things, Sunday sessions, where I do it from a back porch or in the living room or something. It's actually kind of just therapy, man. I miss playing and singing, so I jump on there and play a few songs, normally right around sunset. We call them the Sunday sunset session. As far as the band, we don't have any plans for shows or live streams right now. We're kind of just waiting to see how this next little spike of everything happens here right around the holidays. But we'll keep everybody posted. Please keep up with us on social media. That's the best way. It's us. It's me on there interacting with you and talking to you. And Keith is really active on Instagram. I don't know if y'all are following him on there, but he's on that. But you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We got a YouTube channel you can sign up for and check out some videos. And you can find us on Spotify. We're getting some of our data from Spotify. I think everybody's announcing it, their year in review. So you guys can go in there and find us and go check out The Bastards of Bill. We also have a brand new Unplugged CD that came out and vinyl that looks like this right here. If you guys want to go check it out. We recorded in Memphis last June at a place called Lafayette's. And we just did a deep dive, man. We went in, we did a few of the songs that you guys would probably recognize that we let out, like Phantom Rider. But we did Time in the Tide off Revolution Day. We did Lights Up the River and Son of a Prodigal Son off the new album. And there's a track on here called Candle in the Stone that we had never done before. So we did that one live. It was really fun. We went and kind of dug around and found some of the songs that we thought would be fun. We had never done an acoustic record before. Or even done a live acoustic show, because we always want to crank up. When we get together, we always turn the amps like wide open and everything. But we talked Keith into it, and he went and sat down, and it was so fun, man. We loved it. We may have a surprise for you guys on this. There may be an opportunity for us to get you out some more of the content from that coming up soon. We're kind of checking that out right now. We're going back through everything. So we just initially had kind of picked these 5 as kind of our favorite ones that we enjoyed that night. But yeah, you can find us at toratoramusic.com. And, you guys just stay hopeful out there. Music's going to bring us together, man. And we're going to get back out there and be in the same room together and hugging each other before you know it. So you guys just take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Okay.
All right, awesome, man. Thank you. Any of the weird glitches, I can just edit in a way. The way you spoke, I can just kind of go over, like right into a flow.
Okay, awesome, man.
You're pro about it. I thank you for your time, man. And like I said, I'm doing such an eclectic bunch of musicians and artists. Even Ben Matlock from the Sex Pistols has said he's going to interview. So I'm hoping all these different artists from these different genres will maybe pull some people in. You know how you kind of deep diving is pretty much, on the internet, you go to one thing and hopefully be like, oh, what's this? Who's this? And next thing you know.
Yeah.
That's my thought, we'll see.
Well, man, listen, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes with me tonight, man. I really enjoyed getting to meet you, and I wish you a lot of luck with your
pleasure.
program.
I'm hoping when this is over, you guys come up here in New England playing at some point. I can actually see you guys live. We
want to come back. We went last year, and we hadn't been up that way in a really long time. So we'll definitely come back and see you guys for sure. And listen, if I get to the point where we're getting in the studio and got some more stuff to talk about, I'll reach out to you and we'll do another call. Okay. Yeah, I'd actually love that. That would be awesome if you do that. All right. Okay. Man? Awesome. You got myself. Have a great rest of your week, and I hope you and your family stay safe and healthy, and y'all have a really happy holiday. Okay. All right. I'll tag you in stuff as I post, so you'll have an idea of when it's going up. Okay. Awesome, man. Right, take care. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.